When a LEGO Bumblebee set was announced to complement the Optimus Prime in June of last year, I was very excited, and now, after a year of waiting, I'm finally able to build LEGO Icon's Bumblebee. The box is just like every other LEGO set box for the last few years. The bland 18 plus branding with an all black box and the greebling along the bottom, which was interesting when it first happened but has really become stale. Can you imagine this set with an original 80s themed boxing and bright colours and all the graphics of the G1 era? It does show in the back the alternate builds, like how the model converts and the size, and otherwise, I think it's about time to get right into it. Here's some footage of me trying to open the box with a knife, because I'm too good for the thumb tabs apparently, but for an 18 plus set, it really is weird that they keep including these. This is one particular set that I'm always going to be keeping, so I don't mind if the box gets a bit damaged, because it's never going to be resold. I tend to keep boxes for almost all my sets, though. Oh my gosh. Paper. Yeah, in all my years of collecting, this is the first set I've ever built that has fully paper bags. Even though the LEGO Group said that they would switch to paper bags by this year, there's still a mix of paper and plastic bags. When I cut the box open poorly, I also did cut the bag a little bit, which wouldn't have been an issue with the plastic ones. But on the whole, these are a much better idea. They look better, they have a more tactile feel, they're just a better bag in general, and the only downside is that you can't always see the parts that are inside, but I think that makes up for it with how much better it is to be able to put this into your yellow bin, the recycles here in Australia, rather than just into landfill. Fairly small sticker sheet with all stickers that are only optional and don't really affect the fun and build too much. As with all the 18 plus sets, there's a little bit at the start that includes the designer and a little bit about the model. These are always nice in all the sets, and even though this is no longer part of ideas or anything else, it's cool to have these kind of insights. The design team is such an important part of the process, and it's more interesting than just advertisements from Transformers about their toys. It's going to take a while to get used to that sound of the paper bags rather than the plastic ones crunching, but the build was very fun, and otherwise it's pretty straightforward building instructions and it doesn't feel repetitive even though you do have to build a lot of left and right sides. After bag 1, you've just made 1 foot, and it's quite a lot of parts for something that's as big as maybe 1 Galador part. And yes, it uses rotation joints, so it does fit the Galador system. You can connect this to all your Galador figures. It's cursed, but it works. You can make a Bumblebee, Napole, and Schimmel. After not building any modern sets for a while, it shocked me how many parts there are in just this one small assembly. This is 86 parts on the table, for just this one tiny part that's maybe as big as 1 Galador piece. In this, though, there are lots of interesting parts, lots of new ones, parts I've never seen before, and interesting recolors. Those arches that they use for Bumblebee are a new version of the ones that were on the VW Beetle set from a few years ago. So it's definitely interesting stuff, but a lot of it feels like they could have been accomplished with less parts. So after 2 bags, you've used almost 160 parts or more, and you've got just a little bit of stuff. I know this is something that happens with every modern set, but it's just crazy to me, and it really shows you that it's very unlikely that people are going to build this into other stuff, which is sort of what LEGO's for. I guess that maybe I'm hanging out too much with construction folk, but it's so odd to me that these modern sets have so many parts for such a small final model. In bag 3, you build the frame and the legs that are going to hold everything together. An issue that the Optimus Prime set had was that the top half and bottom half were not connected with Technic, they were connected with the studs and they would often come apart, but this feels very solid. This is all plate-on-plate building, and it really feels like one tough chunk in your hand that isn't going to come apart. Everything in the entire set connects to this assembly, so it needs to be strong. It apparently uses new flex joints in the middle, and these are of course Galador compatible because they are rotation joints. I mean, don't you just love the sound of Galador joints snapping together? This odd little chicken walker soon gets some more bulk to him. These middle sections are probably the most complex bit, but I'd say the entire set is probably still doable if you were to gift it to someone. Probably no younger than 10 though, because there is still a lot of technique and difficult parts that may be difficult for very young builders or inexperienced builders. About halfway through the model, you can already see the bones of what will be the final transformation, with these ratchet joints really providing a stiff and strong connection that feels rigid. You could hold any section of it and it would stay together. The set includes 2 of the 2x2 decorated yellow Autobot tile, and you can choose whether to put it on the top or on the front. I think something to do with where it was in the original toy, but it's cool to get 2 of them. The rear end of the car, which will become the arms in the final transformation, is a pretty similar build to the front half, and it has a lot of interesting techniques and technic showing so that you can get things to transform, but otherwise it's pretty interesting build all the way through. In bag 8, we get the 2 printed slopes that will go on the head. This is an interesting bag because it includes most of the back bonnet and the head build in it, and the head is very interesting because it uses the Viking axe pieces as the ears to Bumblebee, and the entire build is really compact and it fits nicely in the back of the car. You'll see how it moves in the transformation later. Much like that old VW Beetle set from 2015, it gives you an extra license plate so you can pick which one you want to put on the car. I think this means something to hardcore Transformers fans, but they're both interesting ones and they both look about the same, so whichever one you want to, I guess. By bag 9, we're coming right towards the end. We're building the final doors and front hood for the car. At this point, you can see that most of it's starting to come together, and the build sort of lines up quite nicely. A lot of Transformers toys, they don't line up this good, but because it's Lego and it's quite precise, you can see that all the small things that connect at the front line up very nicely in the vehicle mode and look correct. Last one. In bag 10, you build the gun and the plaque as well as finishing the car. It doesn't come with all those extra accessories like the Optimus Prime did. The entire build took me around 2 hours. At the end, you're left with a lot to recycle as well as a bunch of spare parts, and the instructions leave you in car mode, but they allow you to have an ability to change it from car to robot, or you can scan a QR code, which actually takes you to lego.com. This product page on lego.com also has 2 videos from the designer, one to transform it from the car to the robot, and one from the robot to the car. These are really helpful if you struggle with following the paper instructions, because you can physically see them moving the parts in real time. On my first go using the paper instructions, I managed to transform it in about 3 minutes, and after that I was able to memorize it and do it within a couple minutes. Because it's not as heavy as the Optimus, when you move the joints they tend to stay in place, and the ratchet joints make it very easy to keep it in a pose. This isn't as good to play with, but again, this is an 18+ set, so you are meant to just display it. The finished model stands around 1.5 copies of Rush Hour 2 tall, so it is significantly smaller than Optimus Prime, which is something to consider, but remember that the price is a lot lower. The arms also use the Gallador rotation joints, so you can attach whatever you want to them, really. The finished model looks better than I thought, but let's compare it to the Optimus Prime first. I'm sure many people will display these 2 sets next to each other because they are very impressive. The primary colors for both of them just look so good together, and the fact that their display stands have been designed to be very similar just makes it look like they were meant to be together. The Optimus Prime is quite a bit more imposing, and both figures are a decent size. They're a lot bigger than normal Transformers toys, but compared to other LEGO sets, they fit fairly well. If you have the Optimus Prime, it does feel significantly smaller, but you are paying almost $100 less for Bumblebee. These leg panels on the Optimus Prime were actually stickers, but the fact that they're printed on Bumblebee is a lot better. These were some of the most annoying stickers for the Optimus Prime build, and they are kind of important, and you can't leave them off the finished one. Here are the heads side by side. They both use the same mixel joint, so you could swap them if you really wanted to. My favorite part of this model probably is this foot design. The way that everything sort of folds up when it comes into the robot mode is really satisfying. And even though it doesn't really look like feet, they look really impressive. The emptiness of the middle section is meant to represent how the original Bumblebee toy looked, but it does look odd regardless, and it's quite hollow. However, it is stable, and much more stable than Optimus Prime. The most annoying part of this build are these little wings, which is the front windshield folded up. They only attach with 2 jumper studs, and they just keep falling off. They don't attach well, and pretty much every time you pick up the model, you can't pick it up from that back end, because if you so much as knock it, they will come off. Aside from some weirdly small hands, I think that most of the model looks pretty good, and it's a good display piece, especially next to Optimus Prime. Pretty much everyone will display this in the robot mode, but if you do want to display in vehicle mode, note that the sides of the car look really odd when they're in this mode, but otherwise it looks great from the back and front. This set was definitely made for people who already had Optimus Prime, in that it definitely looks the best when Optimus Prime is next to it. And it's kind of odd to say that about a set, because it makes it hard to recommend on its own. It's clearly meant to be in the display cabinet next to Optimus Prime, and for $100 less than that set, I think it's pretty good. I do think that this line could benefit from more sets like this, especially like a Purple Decepticons one, but I'm honestly just happy there's any Transformers sets at all. Thanks so much for watching my video, and please let me know if there's other types of videos you want in the future, because I have no idea what to make.